Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine waking in absolute darkness, your first breath burning like ice in lungs you didn't know you had. Your skin feels wrong, stretched, stitched, foreign. You try to scream, but the sound that emerges is something inhuman, something that makes even you recoil in terror. You have no name, no mother, no memory of warmth or love. You are alone in a way that most people will never comprehend. This is how Frankenstein's creature entered the world. Not through the gentle passage of birth, but through a violent, unholy resurrection. And what I'm about to tell you isn't just a horror story, it's the darkest tragedy ever written, a descent into loneliness so profound it will haunt you long after you finish reading this. This is the story of the monster who never asked to exist. Victor Frankenstein was no ordinary scientist. He was consumed, obsessed, driven by an ambition that would make Icarus himself seem cautious. While other students at the University of Ingolstadt studied anatomy and chemistry, Victor delved into forbidden knowledge. He haunted graveyards in the dead of night, collecting pieces of the dead. He worked in his secret laboratory by candlelight, needle and thread in hand, stitching together a patchwork abomination from corpses. For months, Victor worked without rest, without sleep, his hands trembling with anticipation and coffee-fueled mania. He imagined creating something beautiful, a perfect being, 8 feet tall, with flowing hair and proportionate features. He would be like God himself, breathing life into death, conquering humanity's ultimate enemy. But on that November night, when lightning struck his creation and that dull yellow eye finally opened, Victor saw only horror. The creature's skin was translucent, revealing the grotesque network of muscles and arteries beneath. His lips were black, his eyes were watery and lifeless. The beautiful being Victor had imagined became in that instant a nightmare given flesh. And in what may be the most cowardly act in literary history, Victor Frankenstein, the creature's creator, his only father, ran away. He abandoned his creation like garbage. Think about that for a moment. The creature's first experience of consciousness was being looked upon with disgust and terror by the only being who knew of his existence. His first emotion was rejection. His first lesson was that he was unwanted. The horror had only just begun. Picture this. You're a newborn with the body of a giant and the mind of an infant. Every sensation is new and overwhelming. The cold bites at your stitched flesh. Hunger gnaws at your stomach like a wild animal. Light burns your sensitive eyes. Sounds crash against your ears like thunder. The creature stumbled through the streets of Ingolstadt in the darkness, and everywhere he went, people screamed, children cried, mothers grabbed their babies and ran, men threw stones and shouted curses. He had done nothing but his appearance alone was enough to inspire terror. He fled to the wilderness, learning to survive like a wounded animal. He ate berries and raw roots. He drank from streams. He learned that fire was warm but could burn, that snow was cold but could kill. Every piece of knowledge came through painful trial and error, because he had no one to teach him, no one to guide him. And through it all, one question burned in his mind. Why? Why was he brought into this world? Why did he inspire such fear? Why was he so utterly, completely alone? Months passed. The creature learned to hide himself, moving only at night, avoiding human contact. Until one day he discovered a small cottage in the woods, home to the Lacey family, an old blind man, his son Felix, daughter Agatha, and Felix's love, Shelley. The creature found a small hovel attached to their cottage, barely more than a shed, and through a crack in the wall he watched them. For the first time in his miserable existence, he saw what he had been denied: love, family, connection. He watched them eat together, laugh together, comfort each other. He listened as they read books aloud, teaching Shelley their language, and slowly, painfully, the creature educated himself. He learned to speak by mimicking their words. He learned to read. He discovered poetry, history, philosophy. He read Milton's Paradise Lost and saw himself in the fallen angel, cast out and alone. But most importantly, he learned about human emotion. He felt joy when the family was happy. He felt sorrow when they struggled. Late at night, he would secretly gather firewood for them and clear the snow from their path. He loved them from the shadows, this family that didn't know he existed. For months this went on, and in that time the creature nurtured a desperate hope. Maybe, just maybe, if he revealed himself carefully, if he explained his story, they would see past his hideous exterior and accept him. Maybe they could be the family he never had. He was so tragically wrong. The creature planned carefully. He waited until only the old blind father was home, the one member of the family who couldn't see his monstrous appearance. He approached the cottage, his heart pounding with hope and terror in equal measure. The old man, whose name was Lacey, listened to the creature's story with kindness and compassion. For those precious few minutes, the creature experienced acceptance for the first and only time in his life. Lacey spoke to him as an equal, as a human being worthy of sympathy. "Enter," the old man said. "I am blind and cannot judge you by your appearance. If you are truly friendless, I will help you." The creature wept with joy. Finally, someone saw him as more than a monster. But then the others returned home. Agatha fainted at the sight of him. Shelley shrieked and ran from the cottage. And Felix, kind, gentle Felix, grabbed a stick and beat the creature with savage fury, driving him away from the old man he thought was being attacked by a demon. The creature fled, his heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. He had done everything right. He had been kind, gentle, articulate. He had helped them in secret for months, and still his appearance alone was enough to inspire violence and terror. That night, something inside the creature died. His innocence was burned away, replaced by something dark and terrible: rage. If the world would only see him as a monster, then a monster he would become. The creature's education was complete. He had learned about love, and now he learned about hate. He had experienced hope, and now he tasted despair. And from that toxic mixture, something new emerged, a burning, all-consuming desire for revenge. But not revenge against the de Lacey's. They had only acted out of fear. No, his revenge would be directed at the one truly responsible for his suffering, Victor Frankenstein, the creator who had cursed him with this existence and then abandoned him to face the world's cruelty alone. The creature tracked Victor down and confronted him in the mountains, and what he said in that meeting is perhaps the most chilling dialogue in literary history. You, my creator, abhor me. What hope can I gather from your fellow creatures who owe me nothing? They spurn and hate me. I am malicious because I am miserable. Am I not shunned and hated by all mankind? Shall I respect man when he condemns me? Let him live with me in the interchange of kindness, and instead of injury, I would bestow every benefit upon him with tears of gratitude. Think about those words. The creature isn't asking for wealth or power. He's asking for the most basic human need: connection. He makes Victor an offer, or perhaps it's a demand. Create a female companion for him, someone as hideous as himself, someone who won't recoil in horror at his appearance. Give him one person in this entire world who can look at him without fear. In exchange, he promises to disappear forever, to vanish into the wilderness of South America, where no human will ever see him again. Victor, crushed by guilt and moved by the creature's suffering, agreed. It was a decision he would later regret with every fiber of his being.
Victor travels to a remote island in Scotland to begin his work. For weeks, he labors on a female creature, assembling her piece by piece, just as he had done with the first. But as he works, doubt creeps into his mind like poison. What if she's even more evil than the first creature? What if they reproduce and create a race of monsters that terrorizes all of humanity? What if giving the creature what he wants only leads to greater horror? One night, Victor looks up from his work and sees the creature watching him through the window, a grotesque smile of anticipation on his face. And in that moment, Victor makes his choice. He destroys the female creature, tearing her apart before the monster's eyes. The creature's scream of anguish echoes across the island. His last hope, his only hope, has been ripped away. The one promise of happiness in his entire cursed existence shattered by the same hands that created him. The creature leans through the window, his voice trembling with rage and sorrow. "I shall be with you on your wedding night." It's not a threat, it's a prophecy.
What follows is a horror story in the truest sense, not because of monsters or gore, but because of the systematic destruction of everything beautiful in the world. The creature begins his campaign of revenge. First, he murders Victor's youngest brother, William, strangling the innocent child. Then he frames Justine, the family's maid, for the crime. She's executed, an innocent woman dying for a crime she didn't commit. But the creature isn't finished. When Victor's best friend, Henry Clerval, comes to support him, the creature murders him too, leaving Victor to be accused of the crime and imprisoned. And finally, on Victor's wedding night to his beloved Elizabeth, the creature keeps his promise. While Victor searches the house for the monster, the creature enters Elizabeth's room. Her screams cut through the night and then fall silent. Victor rushes in to find his bride dead, her neck broken, the creature watching from the window with eyes that hold no triumph, only emptiness. The monster has won, and in winning, he has lost everything.
Victor's transformation is complete. The brilliant scientist who once pursued knowledge with passion now pursues only one thing: vengeance. He becomes exactly what he created, a being driven by rage and obsession, hunting his creation across Europe and into the frozen Arctic. The chase is nightmarish. Victor follows the creature's tracks through snow and ice, surviving on hatred alone. The creature leaves him food and messages, mocking him, keeping him alive, because the creature doesn't want Victor to die. He wants him to suffer. They journey deeper into the Arctic, into a wasteland of ice and darkness, two beings locked in a dance of mutual destruction. Victor's health fails, his mind fractures, but still he pursues. Until finally, Victor's body can take no more. Rescued by a ship trapped in Arctic ice, Victor lies dying. He tells his story to the ship's captain, Robert Walton, warning him against the dangers of ambition and the pursuit of forbidden knowledge. And then Victor Frankenstein, creator of life and destroyer of happiness, dies. In the story's final heartbreaking scene, the creature appears on the ship. He stands over Victor's body, and for the first time, we see him completely vulnerable. He's not gloating, he's not triumphant, he's mourning. "That is also my victim," he cries. "In his murder, my crimes are consummated. O Frankenstein, generous and self-devoted being, what does it avail thee that I now ask thee to pardon me? I who irretrievably destroyed thee by destroying all thou lovest." The creature has his revenge, but it's hollow. Killing Victor didn't ease his suffering. It didn't make him less alone. If anything, it made his isolation more complete. His creator, the only being who truly understood what he was, is gone. The creature tells Walton that he will travel north, build a funeral pyre, and burn himself alive. He will end his suffering the only way he can, by ending his existence.
Then he leaps from the ship onto an ice raft and disappears into the darkness, carried away by waves and darkness, seeking death in the frozen void. And the Arctic swallows him whole.
So here's the question that will keep you awake at night. Who is the real monster in this story? Is it the creature, 8 feet tall, stitched together from corpses, driven to murder by loneliness and rage? The being who strangled an innocent child, who destroyed an entire family, who left a trail of bodies across Europe? Or is it Victor Frankenstein, the man who played God, who created life without thinking of the consequences, who looked at his own creation and ran away in horror? The man who, when given a chance to ease his creation's suffering, chose instead to condemn him to eternal loneliness. Mary Shelley forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. The creature became a monster because he was treated like one. He was born innocent, curious, capable of love and compassion. He helped the Lacey family in secret. He read poetry and wept at its beauty. He wanted nothing more than to be accepted, to have one person in the world who didn't fear him. But society and his creator saw only his appearance. They judged him before he spoke a word, attacked him before he raised a hand. They taught him that kindness would be met with violence, that hope would lead only to betrayal. Victor Frankenstein created a living being and then abandoned him. He denied the creature the most basic needs, a name, a purpose, companionship. And when the creature, driven to desperation, begged for a companion, Victor destroyed that hope too. The true horror of Frankenstein isn't the monster, it's us. It's our capacity for prejudice, for judging based on appearance, for denying empathy to those who seem different. It's our tendency to create problems and then refuse to take responsibility for them. It's our ability to see suffering and turn away. The creature says it himself. I was benevolent and good. Misery made me a fiend.
Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein in 1818, but her warning resonates louder today than ever before. We live in an age of incredible scientific advancement, genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, technological marvels that would seem like magic to people just a century ago. But with each new creation, we must ask, what are we responsible for? What happens when we create something and then abandon it? What monsters are we making through our prejudice, our cruelty, our refusal to see the humanity in others? Mary Shelley's creature wanted only 3 things: a name, a purpose, and someone to love him. These are the same things every human being wants, and his story is a stark reminder that when we deny people these basic needs, when we reject them, isolate them, treat them as less than human, we create monsters. Not because they were born evil, but because we made them that way.
The story of Frankenstein is ultimately about creation and responsibility. Victor Frankenstein wanted the glory of creating life, but he refused to accept the responsibility that came with it. He wanted to be God without having to care for his creation. And that creation, denied love and acceptance, became exactly what everyone feared he would be. Not because it was his nature, but because it became his only option. The creature's final words to Captain Walton are perhaps the saddest in all of literature. I shall die, and what I now feel be no longer felt. Soon these burning miseries will be extinct. After everything, all the murder, all the revenge, all the suffering, the creature doesn't want power or victory. He just wants the pain to stop. And in the frozen Arctic darkness, his wish is finally granted. The next time you see someone who looks different, who speaks differently, who doesn't fit in, remember Frankenstein's creature. Remember that monsters aren't born, they're created by rejection, by cruelty, by the absence of compassion. The real horror isn't what we fear in the darkness, it's what we become when we refuse to shine a light. What do you think? Who is the real monster, the creature or his creator? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story changed how you see the world, hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the darkness of classic literature. The monsters are waiting. See you in the shadows.